We invite all fans of mystical fiction to continue listening to the next part of the story, the patron behind the Demon Sect Saintess. In the previous part, I told you that Lu Chen went from being someone pushed around by fate to someone who has begun to take control and actively play the game of life and death. Part 4. The Night at the Black Market, exposing the traitor of the Demon Sect. They walked through a long corridor, flanked on both sides by stone pillars carved with mysterious runes. The black lanterns cast their shadows onto the walls like ghostly figures. Lu Chen could clearly feel every gaze clinging to his back, every breath as if weighing his worth. Mo Bingyao neither explained nor reassured him. She led him to a secluded inner courtyard, where there stood a simple stone room. In front of the door hung a wind chime made of animal bones. Its faint chime clear yet chilling. She stopped, turned around, and looked straight at Lu Chen. From now on, this is where you will stay. Without my order, you are not allowed to step beyond that stone line. Lu Chen followed her gesture and saw a thin carving on the ground, as fine as a strand of hair. Yet the spiritual energy within it made his scalp tingle. It was a boundary. Crossing it meant death. He nodded. I understand the rules. Mo Bingyao narrowed her eyes. You know the rules of the demonic sect? I know the rules of the strong. Lu Chen replied. It's the same everywhere. She looked at him for another moment, then tossed him a small porcelain vial. Drink it. If you don't die, you live. Lu Chen caught it, opened the lid, and a pungent medicinal scent rushed out. Just a whiff made his meridians feel as if they were being pierced by needles. He did not ask what it was. Asking was meaningless. In the demonic sect, the only answer was the result. He tilted his head back and drank. The liquid had barely passed his throat when it burned like red-hot coal, spreading down into his abdomen before erupting in his dantian. Lu Chen immediately dropped to one knee. One hand braced against the ground. Veins bulged along his neck. Sweat poured down his forehead. His once dried meridians were forced open, the pain like each strand being torn apart. He could hear his own ragged breathing, hear his bones and joints creaking as if they were about to break. Mo Bingyao stood watching, her voice devoid of emotion. A fate-altering pill. It's usually used to save those on the brink of death, but it can just as easily kill someone weaker than an ant. If you want to live, you must endure. Lu Chen clenched his teeth, his voice hoarse. I can endure. Mo Bingyao lowered herself, her gaze locking onto his eyes. Say it again. Lu Chen lifted his head. His eyes were red from pain, yet still clear. I can endure. She gave a slight nod, then turned and walked away, leaving him alone in the cold courtyard. Before disappearing from sight, she spoke as if casting a blade. By tomorrow morning, if you're still breathing, I'll question you. That night felt as long as an entire lifetime. Lu Chen lay on the cold stone floor, not daring to fall into deep sleep, because every time his consciousness drifted, the pain would jolt him awake as if he were being drowned. At times, he thought he had died, his heartbeat slowing to the point it felt like silence. At other moments, he thought he was going mad, his mind filled with laughter, mockery, and the word, trash, echoing over and over again. But he gritted his teeth and held on to one thing only, his goal. He didn't need anyone's pity, he only needed to still be alive by tomorrow. Near dawn, the burning pain gradually subsided, replaced by sheer exhaustion, yet his dantian was no longer empty like a dried-up pool. It felt like a stirred-up patch of mud, still chaotic, but now with something within it that could flow. Lu Chen slowly sat up, exhaled a long breath, and rasped to himself. I made it, I'm alive. Before the sun had even risen, the wind chime of animal bones began to clink softly in the air. A young girl in a black dress stood outside the stone boundary. Her eyes were large, her face youthful, yet her gaze was sharp with caution. She looked at Lu Chen as if he were some strange creature, then asked directly, "You're the one the Saintess brought back?" Lu Chen nodded. Yes. The girl frowned. Do you even know who the Saintess is, to dare follow her? Lu Chen met her gaze and replied calmly, I know enough not to speak carelessly. She let out a faint snort. I'm Linger. The Saintess is calling for you. Lu Chen stood up and walked toward the stone line, stopping precisely at the carved boundary without crossing it. Linger watched him for a moment longer, seemingly a bit surprised by his restraint. Then she turned and began to lead the way, her voice still firm. Stay close to me. In the demonic sect, One wrong step is enough to get you killed. Lu Chen answered, I believe that. Linger shot him a sideways glance. You believe me? I believe the demonic sect, he said, not kindness. They passed through several courtyards before arriving at a quiet, secluded hall. Inside, Mo Bingyao sat behind a stone table. In front of her lay a thin map and a black box. Elder He was also present, an old man with silver hair. Yet bright, piercing eyes, his aura as steady and heavy as a mountain. Linger stood to the side with her head lowered. Lu Chen stepped forward and cupped his hands. Saintess. Mo Bingyao did not ask him to sit, nor did she inquire whether he had survived. She merely glanced at the contract rune on his hand and said coldly, You didn't die. Good. Now speak. You said you know the traps. You know the opportunities. You know who will betray. Then tell me, what do you know best? Lu Chen understood immediately. This was the second test. Don't ramble. Deliver something of value at once. He looked at the map on the table and asked instead, Where is the Saintess preparing to go? Secret realm. Mo Bingyao replied briefly. Lu Chen nodded. Which secret realm? Elder He spoke up, his voice slow but imposing. You ask too much. Lu Chen remained calm. If I don't ask, I cannot prove anything. Mo Bingyao gestured for Elder He to be silent. Then said, An ancient secret realm is about to open. The righteous sects will enter as well. I need to know the fastest route and the safest point. Lu Chen did not answer immediately. He studied the marked positions on the map before speaking slowly. The fastest route is not the path to survival. The safest point is not where there are fewer people. Linger frowned. What kind of nonsense is that? Lu Chen looked at her. In a secret realm, fewer people means fewer witnesses. Fewer witnesses means easier to be killed. Mo Bingyao tilted her head slightly. Go on. Lu Chen pointed to a canyon marked on the map. This place is where the righteous sects will set up the demon-purging formation. They won't kill immediately. They will seal spiritual energy and drag it out until their prey is exhausted. If the Saintess takes this route, she will definitely be targeted. Elder He frowned. What makes you so certain? Lu Chen replied, Because the one setting the formation is someone surnamed Yun. Elder He glanced at Mo Bingyao, his expression shifting. Elder Yun? Mo Bingyao did not answer, but the coldness in her expression deepened. Lu Chen continued, his voice even, as if delivering a verdict. That man surnamed Yun, within the next 3 days, will send someone disguised as a merchant, carrying demon-purging stones into the southern black market for a handover. The receiver is someone from the demonic sect, low in rank, but with access to the formation vault. That person, if the Saintess does not deal with him, will betray. Linger's expression changed instantly. Nonsense. How could there be a traitor in the demonic sect? Lu Chen looked at her directly. Where there are interests, there is betrayal. Linger flushed with anger. You. Mo Bingyao raised her hand, and Linger fell silent immediately. Mo Bingyao fixed her gaze on Lu Chen, her voice lowering. Name. Lu Chen replied, Not yet. If I give the name, the Saintess will kill him immediately. But killing one person won't block the path. I want the Saintess to catch him red-handed. Elder He let out a faint chuckle, a hint of approval in his eyes. Not foolish. Mo Bingyao tapped her fingers lightly against the table. What do you want? Lu Chen answered, An opportunity. Let me stand where I can see the whole board. Mo Bingyao asked, You want power? I want to live. Lu Chen said, Power is only a means. The longer I live, the more valuable I am to the Saintess. Mo Bingyao fell silent, then opened the black box on the table. Inside was a small gray jade fragment, cracked like lightning. She pushed the box toward Lu Chen. This is a heart seal. Take it, and you will be bound more deeply to the contract. If you betray, your heart will shatter. If you lie, your blood will rebel. Linger inhaled sharply. Saintess. Even Elder He frowned slightly, clearly. This was no trivial matter. Lu Chen looked at the jade fragment, but did not touch it immediately. He knew this was the third test, whether he dared or not. If he refused, he would remain just a storyteller. If he accepted, he would step onto the board, with a noose tied around his own neck. In exchange for trust, Mo Bingyao stood up and stepped closer, looking straight into his eyes. Now, go with Linger to the southern black market. Find the demon-purging stones. Find the receiver. I want to catch them myself. Lu Chen replied, "Understood." Mo Bingyao added, her voice as cold as ice, "If you try anything, I will make you regret ever being born." Lu Chen did not avoid her gaze. He simply said, "If I intended to play tricks, I wouldn't have taken the heart seal myself." Mo Bingyao watched him for a brief moment, then turned away. Elder He, standing nearby, looked at Lu Chen and spoke slowly. "Boy, you have courage, but the demonic sect doesn't need courage alone. It needs results." Lu Chen lowered his head slightly. "I understand." The southern black market lay deep beneath the foot of the mountain, hidden within a decaying residential area. By day, it looked like nothing more than a dumping ground, only at night did it come alive. When Lu Chen and Linger arrived, dusk had already fallen. Red lanterns hung loosely overhead. The murmur of voices buzzed like a swarm of bees, and the air was thick with the mingled scents of alcohol, blood, and incense. Linger pulled her cloak up to cover half her face and whispered, "Stay behind me. Don't stare into anyone's eyes for too long." Lu Chen replied, "I only look at what I need to." Linger frowned, annoyed. "You think you're clever?" Lu Chen said calmly, "I think I want to live." Linger was momentarily speechless. She snorted lightly and led him into the crowd. They passed stalls selling talismans, elixirs, and beast souls. The vendors' voices were low, yet sharp like hooks. Lu Chen observed carefully, not the goods, but the patterns. Those who stood still for too long would be watched. Those who asked too many questions would be labeled as prey. Those who looked wealthy would be followed. He leaned closer to Linger and whispered, "Don't ask for Demon-Purging Stones." Linger frowned. "If we don't ask, how do we find it?" Lu Chen replied, "Ask for Purification Stones." Linger shot him a glare. "What's the difference?" Lu Chen said calmly, "One is the real name. The other is what people use to hide it." Linger looked at him for a moment longer, this time. She didn't argue immediately. They stopped at a mineral stall. The vendor was an old man with cloudy eyes and dirty hands, but his fingernails were strangely clean. Linger was about to speak, but Lu Chen stepped forward first, placing a low-grade spirit stone on the table. His voice remained steady. "I need purification stones, small ones, for formation use." The old man glanced at the spirit stone, then at Lu Chen. His hoarse voice replied, "Out of stock." Lu Chen didn't change expression. "A pity, but I heard someone here is receiving goods tonight. I'm not buying, I'm just looking for someone." The old man sneered, revealing yellowed teeth. "If you're looking for someone, then go look. Why come here?" Lu Chen bent slightly as if by chance, his fingers tapping lightly on the counter 3 times, in a steady rhythm. The old man noticed the motion. A faint glint flashed in his eyes. He then bent down and pulled out a gray stone from beneath the counter, cracked like lightning, and placed it on top. One piece, no bargaining. Lu Chen looked at the stone, a chill passing through his heart. It was indeed a demon-purging stone. He didn't take it immediately. Instead, he asked, "Who's delivering it?" The old man smirked. "Who delivers it isn't your concern. What you need to know is who receives it." Lu Chen placed another spirit stone on the counter. "Who's receiving?" The old man flicked his gaze to the left, just for an instant, then spoke as if casually. "The one with an ink mark on their wrist." Lu Chen and Linger left the stall, walking as if nothing had happened, but both were already on edge. Linger whispered, her voice low and urgent, "What does an ink mark on the wrist mean?" Lu Chen replied, "It's a delivery mark, a thin black line, like a needle prick, usually hidden under the sleeve." Linger gritted her teeth. "You know too much." Lu Chen said calmly, "Knowing more keeps me alive." They moved on for a while. Suddenly, Lu Chen stopped in front of a wine stall, pretending to examine the ceramic jars, while his eyes swept across the crowd. And then he saw it. A young man, thin build, wide sleeves, walking a bit too quickly. When he lifted his hand to adjust his clothing, a faint black mark, as thin as a strand of hair, flashed on his wrist. Lu Chen didn't stare. He simply turned to Linger and murmured, "There." Linger followed his gaze, her eyes turning cold. "He's one of ours." Lu Chen nodded. "Yes, and he's afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Afraid of being followed," Lu Chen said. "A receiver who's afraid means there are 2 possibilities. Either it's his first time, or he's already betrayed and fears being caught." Linger clenched her hand. "I'll kill him now." Lu Chen grabbed her wrist. His voice firm. No, the Saintess wants him caught red-handed. Linger ground her teeth. You dare stop me? Lu Chen met her gaze directly. I'm not stopping you. I'm stopping you from ruining the Saintess's plan. They tailed the young man from a distance, blending into the crowd before leaving the black market and slipping into a narrow alley. The man kept glancing back, his pace growing faster and faster. At an abandoned courtyard, he finally stopped, breathing heavily, then called out in a low voice, "Where's the goods?" From the shadows stepped a man dressed in pale blue robes of the Righteous Sect. Wearing a wide hat, his voice was deep. "Did you bring the spirit talisman?" The demonic sect man answered hurriedly. Yes, just give it to me. I don't want to stay here long." The man in blue chuckled. "Are you afraid of your Saintess?" The man clenched his teeth. "Stop talking." The man in blue produced a small box. Demon-Purging Stones, enough to seal her for half a watch. In that half watch, you can do whatever you want. The man trembled slightly as he took the box, then asked quietly, "And after that, what do I get?" The man in blue replied, "A position in the Righteous Sect, and a clean life." The man swallowed and nodded. "Deal." At that very moment, a chilling force sliced through the darkness like a blade. The man in blue had no time to react before he was forced 2 steps back, his wide hat falling to the ground. From above the rooftop, Mo Bingyao descended, her black dress blending with the night, her gaze so cold it seemed to freeze the entire abandoned courtyard. Linger immediately dropped to one knee. "Saintess." Lu Chen did not kneel. He simply cupped his hands. "Saintess." Mo Bingyao cast him a brief, expressionless glance, then fixed her eyes on the demonic sect man clutching the box of demon-purging stones. The man's face turned pale as death. He stammered, Saintess, I was forced." Mo Bingyao asked softly, terrifyingly soft. "Who forced you?" The man trembled. "The Righteous Sect. They said, if I didn't do it, I would die." Mo Bingyao nodded. "So you chose clean death, or filthy survival?" The man broke into tears. "I want to live, I just want to live." Mo Bingyao gave a faint smile. "So do I." She raised her hand. The box of demon-purging stones flew into her grasp. She opened it, glanced at the stone, then squeezed lightly. Crack! The gray stone shattered, its powder falling like ash. The man in blue's expression changed instantly. He drew his sword and shouted, "Demoness!" But before the blade could even fall, an overwhelming pressure forced him to his knees, his shoulder bones cracking audibly. Mo Bingyao didn't even spare him a glance. She looked only at the traitor and asked one final question. "Do you know your crime?" The man choked. I do." "Good." She did not kill him immediately. Instead, she pressed 2 fingers against his forehead. The man convulsed at once, eyes bulging, mouth open in a silent scream. Linger shivered, yet did not dare look away. Lu Chen watched closely, because he understood, this was not just punishment, but a message. Mo Bingyao was telling the entire demonic sect that traitors do not deserve a swift death. They must pay with prolonged terror. When the man finally collapsed, gasping like a fish out of water, Mo Bingyao turned to the man in blue and said calmly, "Go back and tell Elder Yun, I remember him." The man in blue gritted his teeth. "You will be annihilated by the heavenly Tao." Mo Bingyao stepped closer, leaned down, and whispered near his ear, "If the heavenly Tao wanted to destroy me, it would have done so long ago. But it still needs me to play the villain, so that you can stand tall with your so-called righteousness." She straightened and gave her order. "Linger, take him back, hang him at the entrance of the hall. Let everyone see." Linger answered crisply, "Yes." Part 4 of Chapter 1 of the Backing of the Demon Sect Saintess comes to an end here. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.